Zodiac has got to be one of the most frustrating movies I've ever watched. It's a movie that gets under your skin, it stays there, it's creepy, it's tense, it's frustrating, and boy, I loved it. For me, Zodiac is a 9 out of 10. Not because it's flashy or exciting in the usual way, but because it's one of the most gripping and quietly suspenseful crime films ever made. That's just my humble opinion. This movie is patient, even slow, it's uncomfortable, and it sticks with you long after this movie is done. At its core, Zodiac follows the real Zodiac killer case over several decades. You're moving between police detectives, journalists, and eventually even a civilian who becomes completely obsessed with figuring out who the killer is. There's no single protagonist, no single hero guiding you through the story, really, and there's also no clean narrative where everything builds toward a satisfying conclusion. And the conclusion of this movie is very unsatisfying, frustrating, yes. Time passes, leads dry up, people age, careers stall, and the case just keeps dragging on. Right from the start, the movie makes it clear. This isn't about solving the mystery. It's about what it feels like to live with an unanswered question for years and what that kind of uncertainty does to people. Watching documentaries about the Zodiac killings actually makes this movie better. This is something I really felt rewatching this movie. If you've watched documentaries or read about the Zodiac case before seeing this movie, Zodiac hits harder. The frustration feels more real, the dead ends make more sense, and the obsession becomes way more relatable. You start recognizing patterns, how often investigators think they're close, how often things fall apart, and, missing evidence, or is it just pure bad luck? All of those things make more sense. So suddenly, all of those scenes of paperwork, arguments, and waiting, they don't feel slow anymore. They feel accurate. So instead of thinking, why are we still on this? You're thinking, yeah, that's exactly how this case went. And that realism adds a lot of weight to this movie. One of the biggest strengths of this movie is that every scene involving the Zodiac Killer is extremely suspenseful, even when almost nothing is happening. The opening Lover's Lane shooting sets the tone immediately. It's quiet, awkward, eerie, unsettling, and it's almost mundane. There's no dramatic music telling you what to feel. David Fincher lets the camera sit back and observe, and that restraint makes the violence feel disturbingly real. Then there's the Lake Berryessa scene, which is still one of the most uncomfortable crime scenes I've ever watched, especially after watching the documentary. The polite conversation that goes down, the slow movements, the calm tone, it all feels so wrong in a way that it really crawls under your skin. Very unsettling. There's no cinematic distance, no relief, and definitely no escape. Those scenes work because the movie doesn't overuse them, so when violence does show up, it absolutely matters. And a huge reason this movie works so well is David Fincher's control. The color palette is muted and cold. I absolutely loved it. The camera movement is precise and deliberate. The editing is clean and restrained. Nothing is really flashy in this movie, and that's what I really appreciate about this movie. Nothing actually draws attention to itself. Even scenes where people are just talking in offices or flipping through files, it all feels tense. Because Fincher frames everything like details matter and mistakes have consequences, just like with the Zodiac Killer. The vibe is heavy, but it's focused. But yes, this movie, it feels so freaking heavy, yes. There's always that sense that something is slightly off during the whole movie. Even when nothing dramatic is happening, that atmosphere keeps the tension alive. Like I said, during the whole movie, even without constantly showing the killer in action, it's really unsettling and works extremely well. And then let's talk about the pacing. Yes, the pacing is slow, but this movie earns it. Yes, Zodiac. I get why some people hate this movie. I definitely do. This movie is extremely slow. I'm not gonna say it isn't. But for a crime movie like this, I mean, that pacing it feels really appropriate, I think. I mean, you get the intense sequences of murders, interrogations, threatening phone calls, and then you get some space, the waiting, the paperwork, all the dead ends. Yeah, that takes time to breathe. You know, you need room. This movie is roughly 2.5 hours. I wouldn't mind if this movie was 4 or 5 hours. That's how much I like this movie. So those quieter stretches, they aren't filler, they're pressure. They really are pressure and they feel like pressure. They feel heavy. If you've seen the documentaries on the real cases, this rhythm feels familiar. Real investigations don't move in straight lines. They stall, they loop, and they exhaust people who are involved. So by the time something disturbing happens again, it hits harder because you've been sitting in that tension for so long, and that makes this movie really unsettling. What really pulled me in is how much this movie blends the police investigation with the personal obsession of some of the characters. Take Jake Gyllenhaal's character, who doesn't slowly become the hero, he slowly becomes someone who can't let go of this case. You see it in small moments, staying up late surrounded by the files, chasing one more lead, convincing himself that he's just one breakthrough away. The movie never really glamorizes this obsession and it also never rewards it. There's no big emotional payoff at the end. There's just exhaustion and frustration on screen. And yeah, like I said, I absolutely adore it. By the time the movie ends, it genuinely feels like you've been staring at a puzzle that simply cannot be solved. Extremely frustrating. And yeah, that lingering frustrating is exactly what makes this film so powerful and why a lot of people hate this movie. I get it. And let's talk about the actors and why they fit perfectly in this movie. The cast is absolutely fantastic and everyone understands the tone they're working in. I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of Mark Ruffalo. And after watching this movie, I actually enjoyed him much more as an actor. He's great in this movie. He starts confident and capable and you slowly watch the case grind him down basically. His frustration feels real and not theatrical. Jake Gyllenhaal's character is played with an obsession, without the charm and the glamour. And in this movie, also, I started to appreciate Jake Gyllenhaal more as an actor. And yeah, watching him on screen, it's all very uncomfortable in the right way, you know. It's kind of funny in hindsight that this movie features the Hulk, Iron Man, and Mysterio together. That's something I realized later. But in this movie, they're all excellent. They're grounded, they're tired, and completely locked into this world. No one is trying to steal scenes from each other. Everyone serves the mood perfectly. Now, I get why some people struggle with this movie. I absolutely understand the criticisms, some of them. This movie can feel emotionally distant. I think that's the whole point. The movie has no closure, and a lot of people feel frustrated by it, myself included. I get it, but I think that's the whole point of this movie. I guess that's why it sticks with you. And the procedural nature of the movie can feel repetitive. I also get that. So if you're expecting momentum and answers and an emotional release, then Zodiac is going to fight you every minute of the movie, really. But that resistance is intentional. It's in the movie for a reason. This movie doesn't want you to feel smart. It doesn't want you to feel relieved. None of that. It wants you to feel uncertain and uneasy and frustrating, or frustrated, I should say. So yeah, Zodiac, it can feel slow. It refuses to give you answers, but that's realism. That frustration and that lingering tension are exactly what makes it so effective, especially if you spend time with the real case through documentaries or books. So for me, 9 out of 10, stylish, unsettling, deeply immersive, a crime film that keeps the tension alive almost the entire time without constantly showing the killer. So by the end, you don't feel satisfied, you feel like you've lived with the case and that's why it stays with you. That's my take on the movie. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye bye.